Good evening. Can we all take our seats, please? The time is approximately 5:30 p.m. Today is September 27th. This is the second and final public hearing for our budget adoption. I would like to ask Commissioner Commissioner Lockhart to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Excuse me.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please excuse me, it's the third time I've done it today.
That's why we're laughing. For the record, I think she would have done a marvelous job.
I know, but
Thank you for your confidence.
if we can keep our cell phones and any other electronic devices off or quiet, we greatly
30
appreciate it.
seconds now, John. Good.
I'd like to just make some public announcements. Board of County Commissioners does not control the tax levy budget over the school board, water management district, or any of the 7 cities. Question regarding the property appraiser evaluation should be addressed to the property appraiser, Mr. Johnson. The Board of County Commissioners limited budget authority of the constitutional officers, including the clerk of the circuit court, property appraiser, the sheriff, supervisor of elections, and the tax collector. The purpose of this hearing is to allow the public comment regarding the intended adoption millage rate and budget, to amend the budget as desired by the board, and to adopt the final millage rate of the county budget for fiscal year 2022/23 required by Florida law. This is the budget hearing advertised in the Orlando Sentinel newspaper on Thursday, September 22nd, 2022. At this time, I'd like to request county manager and his staff to discuss the final millage rate and the budget. Mr. Applegate?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to turn it over to Lori Bailey Brown at this point.
Thank you. Good evening. Lori Bailey Brown, Chief Financial Officer and Resource Management Director for Seminole County Board of County Commissioners. The board approved the tentative millage and budget at our first public hearing on September 13th. Tonight, we're holding our final public hearing to adopt the fiscal year 22-23 millage rates and budget, and there are no adjustments from the tentative budget. This meeting was advertised in accordance with Florida statutes on Thursday, September 22nd in the Orlando Sentinel. I'd like to thank the Office of Management and Budget, led by Tim Jex, and all the departments of Seminole County for their efforts in this budget season. I would also like to thank the constitutional officers for their cooperation and support to help bring this budget before you tonight for adoption. The fiscal year 22-23 budget presented for adoption is based on the millage rate shown here, which are being maintained at current levels. The rollback rate will provide the same ad valorem tax revenue as levied in the prior year, excluding new construction and community redevelopment districts. Each millage rate is approximately 10% above the rollback rate, and we will read each of the proposed rates and the rollback rate and the percentage increase over rollback later in this meeting. Property values increased for Seminole County approximately 12%, with 2.5% attributable to new construction. Here are the increases in taxable property values for each taxing authority, detailing the percentage related to new construction. The final millage rates will generate a combined $297.8 million in FY23, including an additional $23 million for the general fund. Fire fund ad valorem revenue will increase by $9.1 million, and the unincorporated road district will increase by $242,000 in FY23, for a total of $32.4 million in new ad valorem revenue countywide. This additional revenue is used to fund increases in public safety, road maintenance, and new positions. The total final budget is $992,480,753. There have been no adjustments from the tentative budget approved at our first public hearing, and details of revenues and expenditures for all funds can be found on pages 22 to 23 of the public hearing workbook. General fund includes sub-funds such as renewal and replacement, economic development, and represents 37% of the total budget at $364 million. Special revenue funds include transportation, fire services, grants, capital, and debt service, and it represents 32% of the total budget at $319 million. Enterprise funds include water, sewer, solid waste, and represent 25% of the total budget at $250 million. Internal service funds include liability, workers' comp, and health insurance funds, and represent 6% of the total budget at $59 million. The total operating expenditures budget of $700.6 million excludes reserves and transfers. It is detailed here by service area and shows public safety and physical environment and transportation are 74% of the total expenditure budget. Public safety is fire and the sheriff's budget. Physical environment is water, utilities, and solid waste. Transportation includes road construction, drainage, and traffic engineering. General government service costs include the constitutional officers, excluding sheriff, facilities maintenance, planning, and our self-insurance activities. This concludes my presentation for the new budget.
Thank you. I'd like to thank staff for the presentation, as well as the county staff. At this time, we'll hear from the public regarding the final millage rate and the budget. At this time, do we have any written requests?
I have one from Mr. John Horvath.
Mr. Horvath, would you please come to the podium, give us your name and address for the record, please?
It's been in here for many years, but I'll give it anyway. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. John Horvath, 1004 Bradford Drive, Winter Park, Florida. And I always say that's the Winter Park address, but I live in Seminole County. As you know, many of you know, I followed the budgets over the last 30 or 40 years and been through many budget hearings. And I've always said that as the county grows, the budget has to grow. And you need to keep up with your infrastructure. Station 39, hopefully you get that started soon. You're going to redo 23, which I know is an old station because I was working in there in the early 70s. And remember when it was just the 2 bays, and it doesn't meet today's needs and standards. So hopefully that'll get taken care of this year. And I understand we have a Class 1 fire rating now, which is great, and they had recommendations to the fire department to do things to maintain it. In 3 years, you're going to be reevaluated again, and it's not from the staff, it's from ISO telling the staff what you need to do to maintain it. And I'm sure you deal with other, in water and sewer, you have certifications there, and Parks and Rec, all those other things, and those are coming from the accreditation companies, just like the sheriff's office has accreditations. And I understand you bought 2 golf courses, and you got in the budget to get them up to par for whatever you're going to do with them. I think one you're keeping as a golf course, and the other you're redoing for recreational stuff. Well, get them back going again. I'm sure those homeowners that live around that will be glad to see that. But as you know, I think you've seen figures that in 20 years, we're going to add another 100,000 people to the approximately 480,000 we have today. And this board has to be getting ready for that, because before you know it, those 20 years will be here. Now, I might not be here in 20 years. I'd be 96 if that's the case. But the way I'm feeling today, I'm lucky I made it today. But you got to lay the groundwork and work ahead, not work from behind. And I know it's hard. You got to make decisions, but you got to run the county and work with the cities that you do well, and keep up the good work, and make sure we have our services. I was telling somebody I came from where I live. I left a little after 4. I got here at 5 o'clock, 18 miles, and that's how long it took. I came up 1792, and just to check the traffic because I don't get out much, but it was heavy. Gas stations had cars in them, and I saw tanker trucks at many of them, so people are heeding the word of the hurricane. I'm sure when you get through here, many of you have to head to the IOC to see what's going on, but let's hope we all come out safe and survive this hurricane. Hopefully it's not as bad as they talk about, but like I was telling some of them, I went through Don, and Don was my first one back in '62 when I was a teenager, so I made it from there, so we'll all make it. So thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Any other written requests?
No, sir.
Okay. We have no other written requests. Anyone in the public who'd like to address the board at this time? Anyone in the public? I'm going to close public comments. Public comments are now closed.
Mr. Chairman.
This time, we'll go to board discussion.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chairman,
Constantine.
I just have a question of Tim. Tim, with the new budget, what is the exact percentage now of the constitutionals? Do you have that percentage, please?
I don't have the exact percentage. I believe it was 57% of the general fund.
I thought it was 64.
I'd like to pull up the exact percentage.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I just wanted to make sure. We have 3 constitutionals here, and I just want to make sure that, as we go through this, that they're all in support of this budget also. Is that correct? I just wanted to make sure. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Any other discussion with the board? Commissioner Herr.
I just wanted to, for the record, point out that I did place a document on the dais for each of you and handed one to the clerk that was an email that I was asked to share for the record. So that is done.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments? Okay, we now need to establish the millage rate. There are 3 motions. I'd like to ask the board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to adopt the fiscal year 22-23 general countywide ad valorem tax rate of 4.8751 mils.
Second.
We have motion, second discussion. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion passes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 22-23 unincorporated road district MSTU ad valorem tax rate of 0.1107 mils.
Second.
Motion, second discussion. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like smoke sign, motion passes unanimously. Next.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the fiscal year 2022-23 Fire District MSTU ad valorem tax rate of 2.7649 mils.
Second.
There's motion and second discussion. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion passes unanimously. I'd like to ask staff now to read the established millage rates into the public record. Staff?
The general county millage of 4.8751 mils is 10.03% above the rollback rate of 4.4306 mils. The fire rescue MSTU millage of 2.7649 mils is 9.8% above the rollback rate of 2.5182 mils. The unincorporated road MSTU millage of 0.1107 mils is 9.71% above the rollback rate of 0.1009 mils. The tentative aggregate millage rate for all BCC taxing districts is 6.8931 mils, which is 9.62% increase over the current aggregate rollback rate of 6.2880 mils.
Thank you, Lori. This time, I'd like to enter a motion, have the board enter a motion to approve the FY 2022-23 millage levy resolution.
So moved.
You need to read the motion.
Motion to adopt the millage levy resolution for fiscal year 22-23 inclusive of the millage rates announced.
Second.
We have motion and second discussion. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Next, we have the adoption.
Motion to adopt the budget resolution for fiscal year 2022-23.
Second.
We have motion and second discussion. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion passes. Mr. Applegate, before we close this public hearing, is there anything outstanding we need to do?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other comments? This budget hearing is now concluded. This meeting is over. Thank you.